This is a Sports Catastrophe production. Hey there, ho there. It's Jeff Cutter Diving. Welcome you to another Sports Catastrophe Birthday Boy. And the birthday boy, Jun29, is a NFL sportscaster icon for CBS and Monday Night Football on ABC. He played college football for the University of Michigan in the late 60s and was named to the College Football Hall of Fame in 2000. And he played pro for the St. Louis Cardinals, not the baseball team, the football team that also was in St. Louis and also called the Cardinals, for 13 seasons from 1971 to 1983. One of the best offensive linemen ever, playing in the Pro Bowl 6 times, and part of the 1970s All-Decade team, and in Pro Football Hall of Fame in 1996. He became a broadcaster for ABC and CBS, and since 2014, he's a color analyst for Michigan radio broadcasts. He is Dan Dierdorf. Not Dierdorf. I'll talk about that later. Dierdorf. Now, the funny story about him playing for the University of Michigan was that after high school, Dierdorf would have been at Ohio State, but Coach Woody Hayes thought he was not talented enough. So he went to the University of Michigan, even though Dierdorf was born in Canton. Dierdorf enrolled in Michigan in 1967 and played on the all-freshman football team. Of course, Dierdorf couldn't play for the varsity because the rule is no freshman on the varsity team. However, when he was eligible, he would play for Michigan for the 1968 team that were 8-2. He was an offensive lineman that was huge and all that. And when Michigan beat Wisconsin, Dierdorf was the great offensive lineman that helped Ron Johnson of Michigan get 347 rushing yards in one game, which was amazing. Dierdorf suffered a knee injury in the Michigan-Ohio State game in 1968, and they thought he would be in trouble. He wouldn't play. So, 1969, Bo Schembechler was Michigan's coach and helped them win the Big Ten title and number 9 in the AP poll. Dierdorf would play right offensive tackle and helped Michigan beat number 1 Ohio State, denying Ohio State a trip to the Rose Bowl. So he did his job. In his senior season, he helped Michigan get to 9-1, and it was amazing what he could do. And then in the second round of the 1971 NFL Draft, the St. Louis Cardinals picked Dierdorf. Now the question on my mind is, was he ruined? He was a tackle. Okay, teams that took a tackle ahead of him. There were none in the first round. Second round, the Jets took this John Morning guy from Tampa University. Really, the Jets could have had him, but Dierdorf was the second tackle taken. Let's see, like offensive linemen. Do they have like an offensive tackle or something? Offensive tackle, since he took Ferdinand Holland 15th overall, the Denver Broncos took Marv Montgomery 12th overall, so they could have done it. I guess they didn't really counter with offensive linemen. So the Cardinals said it was good and all that. And as a rookie, he played in 12 games. He was the future in the Cardinals' offensive line during all the games in 1973. He would be offensive tackle. In 73, he played right tackle, helping the Cardinals win 31 games in a 3-year span. But they just couldn't do it in the playoffs. They just sucked. But Dierdorf was one of the best offensive linemen around. All that. Dierdorf, in the 76 and 77 seasons, was not credited with giving up a sack to anybody like sacking the quarterback. But the first game in 1978, it happened. But man, he was an icon. Unfortunately, in September 1979, during an extra point attempt for St. Louis against the Giants, he suffered torn ligaments in his left knee and all of that. It was very painful. He underwent knee surgery and couldn't play the rest of the year. 1980, he came back and did pretty well for himself. Dierdorf decided to retire after 1983, and it was shocking that he didn't play for a team other than the Cardinals. So anyway, Dierdorf was hired as an afternoon talk show host by KOMX Radio in St. Louis, and he became a color analyst for the Cardinals football games. And he even helped broadcast the St. Louis Blues hockey. It's like, wow, he broadcast hockey too? But by 1985, CBS said, "Screw it, we're going to make you a broadcast, color commentator." And he worked on CBS games for a couple of years. But ABC swiped him in '87 because they needed a strong third man in the booth with Al Michaels as play-by-play and Frank Gifford, a good analyst. So he was part of Monday Night Football in the 1990s, especially the 1990s. But in 1999, he resigned. He actually called play-by-play of some college football games in the 1990s, not color commentary. He was the main guy. CBS then said, "Screw it, we're getting him back." So he signed with CBS and was part of the number 2 broadcasting team with Fern Lundquist. 2 legends being the broadcasting. Lundquist was then moved from the NFL to the college football and became the voice of CBS college football. So Dierdorf was paired up with Dick Enberg, which was amazing and all that. We got Enberg and Dierdorf, Dick and Dan. Very amazing and all that. That pairing was so good that they both were part of the Robbie the Reindeer episode back when CBS decided to do Robbie the Reindeer games. They picked Dan Dierdorf to be with Dick Enberg to voice themselves. And it's all that. So anyway, Dierdorf would partner up a little bit. He would be with a rotating play-by-play guy when Enberg was doing the U.S. Open tennis on CBS. Then in 2006, Dierdorf got moved to be part of the number 2 pairing on CBS with Greg Gumbel as Enberg left. So anyway, Jim Nantz and Phil Simms were number 1, and then it was Dierdorf with Greg Gumbel. It was Gumbel and Dierdorf from 2006 to 2013. So Dierdorf did pretty well as a commentator with Enberg and Gumbel. But Dierdorf said that would be the last as an analyst and all that. It was a challenge to travel to a different NFL city every week. So in the match between the Colts and the Patriots in the AFC division round 2014, that was the last time Dierdorf would broadcast for CBS. And then he decided to become the new color analyst for Michigan in their radio broadcast with Jim Brandstatter. Both Dierdorf and Brandstatter are retired from the Michigan team after the 2021 season. So it just was very recently, but they might be back. I don't know. Anyway, Dierdorf had gotten into the Pro Football Hall of Fame on his 3rd try, which was amazing and all that. Dierdorf got the Pete Rozelle Radio TV Award for the Pro Football Hall of Fame for exceptional contributions to radio and TV as a broadcaster. Anyway, Dierdorf and his wife Debbie have 2 adult children. And when I said Dierdorf, not Beardorf, this is why. In the famous Homer episode, Lisa the Greek in season 3, or I think it was 3, I don't know, or 2. Yeah, I think it was season 3 or 4, in which Homer uses Lisa to help him win pro football bets with Mo. The Super Bowl happens, and Dan Beardorf is the MVP. And then Barney says, "Hey, Homer, did you say if Duff Beer won the Super Bowl, your daughter likes you?" "No, the Redskins." Of course, that's a little bit redacted, but that's the way it is in the old days. But Dan Dierdorf is a broadcasting icon. That's why I picked him as my birthday boy, because, I have a thing for broadcasters. Enberg and Dierdorf, Gumbel and Dierdorf, you know what he's got to do and all that. Dan Dierdorf was the color commentator when Antonio Cromartie went 109.9 yards, 0.8 yards, for a missed field goal return for the Chargers against the Vikings. He said, "He is 2 inches from the back line," which was true. If he stepped in the back line, that would have been wrong for Cromartie to run it out of the end zone. But it worked out, and he was a good broadcaster. Fight me. Anyway, I'm Jeff Diamond. I do.